welcome to our official kickoff for the 2020 popcorn season. It's going to be a popcorn season like none other, we will say. We know it's going to be full of bumps. It's going to be a fun ride, but we can't thank you enough as our volunteers, as our colonels, as our leaders of youth for what you do, for what you're putting into this sale, and you do it countless year after year. To not only support your units, but to support scouting throughout Colorado. We are the biggest council here in Colorado, and we serve over 20,000 youth nowadays, and all the way from Deer Trail all the way out to Grand Junction and beyond. So it's pretty incredible the impact that you have as volunteers, and we all do this together to support and grow our youth. As a reminder, tonight is a webinar, and so I want to make sure that if you have a question, please type it into that Q&A section. We're going to monitor that, upvote it. We will say that a few times throughout this evening just to make sure everyone's aware. We cannot see you, we cannot hear you, so that's the only way for you to communicate with our presenters tonight to make sure that you're here and you get every answer that you need. Again, my name is Dave DeCecco. I've been the popcorn staff advisor for a few years now. And I'd like to introduce Eric Peterson, who is our Director of Field Service. He is helping be one of the staff advisors. If Eric wants to say hello real quick.
Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you joining us.
Great. And then I'd also like to introduce Charlie, if you'd like to turn your camera, if you're able to, real quick, and just say hello. Charlie is our third staff advisor. He'll be our frontline person to answer any question that you need, any help that you have. Eric and I are available, but Charlie is probably a little bit faster and more responsive on all that stuff. Thanks, Charlie. Tonight's agenda, as we wait for Chuck to join us here, we are going to get an update from Trails End. There's been some big changes. I'm sure if you've attended any of the webinars that Trails End is putting on, you've heard about it. If you're on the Facebook group that Trails End monitors, you've seen a lot of those. But we actually wanted to hear from Chuck. Many people, if you've done this, have met Chuck. He's been our popcorn rep for a number of years. I think he's worked for Trails End for 17 or 18 years. But he'll be able to give us direct information on why some of the changes happened and what resources will be available to help us be successful in this very different type of year. And then we'll get into some more council specific information. We're going to talk about the dates this year, some of the differences between previous years, the commission structure, some of the changes, of course, the use of the leader portal and Scout app and how important it is this year more than maybe any year we've done. The changes to the online sale, or what Trails End is calling the direct to consumer sale, which we will talk about here. The prize program, there's been some interesting changes with how that prize program is there, and throughout this night we're going to talk about the return policy as well. And then we'll finish up with Q&A, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can as we go, but we will also make sure we have about 20 minutes or so at the end to answer that Q&A. So I'm going to check in with our Trails End person because he is supposed to be next. If not, we can jump ahead, Eric.
Yeah, we may need to jump ahead. It looks like we're having technical issues.
Great. So we will come back to all of these slides, we promise. And I will turn it over to Eric Peterson.
Dave, while I'm doing this, if you can maybe reach out to Chuck and see if you can get him that information. And even if he can log on as an attendee, we can switch him over to a panelist. So,
great.
All right. Well, great. Well, yeah, we apologize. Technology is wonderful when it works, and when it doesn't, we just kind of do our best, as they say in the Cub Scouts. So welcome. For those of you who I've not met, and it's probably going to be many of you, I started here at the Denver Area Council in January of this year, but I've been involved with scouting for over 30 years professionally. I was involved in many popcorn sales in 4 different councils that I worked in. Most recently, I came from the national office where I worked, but I had a coworker that I worked with that he had 2 sons in the Cub Scout program and participated in the popcorn sale last year. And so had lots of great information that he shared with me about Trails End and all the great new technology tools that they've added that we'll talk about. For those of you who have participated in the past, some of this will kind of be a repeat, but certainly there'll be some, as Dave said, some changes that are happening because of COVID this year. Some of the key dates, you should have received this via an email. If you did not, please let Charlie know and he can resend it to you. But tonight we have our first kickoff. This is going to be primarily talking about the online sales that we're doing. That's going to be a big feature of what we do this year as far as Trails End Popcorn and almost everything that we do because of the COVID-19 pandemic that we're all facing. So, and like I said, it will be recorded, and so you can watch this later. We'll also have another kickoff on July 23rd, talking more about the traditional sale. If you can and are willing to do door-to-door or storefront sales, we'll talk more about that. And then to place the first order on August 10th, we'll have the distribution sites at district sites. We have confirmed many of those districts, those sites out in the districts. We're still looking at confirming a number of them. And if there's any changes, we'll certainly let you know. One key item that we want to make sure that you're aware of, and this is new this year, is that we're going to have a second, what we're calling replenishment order deadline. And so that's on September 14th. We do realize, and as we talk about some of the incentives, this will kind of make more sense. Trails End is being cautious. The Denver Area Council is going to be cautious. I know you're going to be cautious in the number or how much popcorn that you order. Certainly, if you order the same amount of popcorn that you did last year, we're probably going to talk to you about that to see what your plans are. Because we anticipate we're unfortunately going to sell less popcorn. We're not trying to put a damper on your sale, but certainly just because of what we're going through, that may happen. So, so please note that you can place that first order. And then as you are selling the popcorn, if you need additional orders, then there will be that deadline to have that second order. We'll have the distribution on August 2nd and 3rd. Any returns will happen on the 15th and 16th of October. And then you'll have one final, if you need to place a final order for any door-to-door sales, then you'll do that on the 19th of October. We'll have that distribution a couple of weeks later. And then right before Thanksgiving, we'll have all of that money that you've earned and needs to be paid for the popcorn will be due to the council right before Thanksgiving. So again, if you have questions about any of these key dates, please put that in the Q&A section and we can certainly answer those. So Charlie, let's go on to the next slide. So our commissions. Some of the commissions that you see are very similar. We have the base commission. If you want to be a part of the 2020 club, again, it's not all 3 of these areas. It's just 1 out of the 3. You sell over $20,000. If you increase your sale from what you did last year, certainly if you're new to the sale this year, you're certainly going to increase your sale, and so you'll get that 4% bonus commission. This is new this year. There are many councils that as we've talked to Chuck around. And he serves many states, many councils. There are many councils going to a zero. They're not allowing any returns, and so whatever you take, you need to sell. So we thought a lot about this in our council, and we understand the reasons why, but we also wanted to have some sort of return. So if you do not return any popcorn, then there's an additional 2% bonus commission on those if you don't return that. But this year only, just because of the pandemic, we're only allowing a maximum of 5% of what you take out can be returned. And so again, if you have questions about that, we'll be happy to answer those towards the end. There's also another bonus commission. This goes around utilizing, we have to do a much better job in tracking all of our inventory to see what we have, to see what units have. And so we're asking you to use the app and the portal system, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And if you do that at 95%, then you'll receive that bonus commission. What that's going to do, it's going to help you if you've used that technology in the past. It's a really neat technology, as I learned from my friend Ross, that you can see exactly as you check out popcorn to the scouts, if they're selling it, how much they're selling it. We're able to track that as well, so that if a unit maybe isn't selling as much popcorn and they want to transfer some of their popcorn to a neighboring pack or troop, they can do that. So that we're going to have to really watch our inventory, so that that we can make sure that we don't order too much, or you don't have too much at the end of the popcorn sale. The same as last year, that direct-to-consumer online popcorn sale. So anything that you do online, and there are some packs and troops out there that are choosing to do only online, and so that will be a flat 35% commission. So those are the bonus commissions and the base commissions. To see if there's any questions here. So Charlie, why don't you go on to our next slide?
Eric, with Chuck joining us now, do you want him to talk about his part, since we know he has a finite amount of time with us tonight?
That would be awesome.
Great. We're going to kick back to the beginning just for you, Chuck. So I'd like to introduce Chuck Pattison. As mentioned earlier, he's our Trails End rep. He knows all things Trails End. Anything good they do, you can give credit to the council, and anything bad, you can yell at Chuck a little bit. I tease him a lot. He's a good friend of mine. We've known each other for several years now. But Trails End's been a great partner for scouting for a long time. So we're very lucky that Chuck is on our account and makes time for us a lot here in Denver. So I'll turn it over to Chuck. Go away.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Just a bunch of Zooms going on tonight, so I'm trying to hit all of them, at least some part. What I want to tell you about the products is that we went into the spring with a very different product mix than where we are today, and there's several reasons for it. And all these reasons are because of what challenges Trails End's facing, not the councils. You guys probably have noticed in stores that some items just aren't on the shelves very much. They maybe didn't see toilet paper for several weeks even, things like that. Well, we had a very high demand for the microwave product. Really over the last 30 weeks, it's been 70% higher than it is typically. And yet at the same time, in order to keep our plants open, we had to separate lines, move operators farther apart, extend the amount of time between shifts to make sure we clean everything. And that just ends up reducing a lot of the throughput that we can have, go through the plant on the microwave side. So we ended up looking at this and saying, basically, we'd only be able to give councils maybe 30, 40%, if that, of the amount of microwave they sold last year. So what could we do? We could give everybody an allotment and say, once it's gone, it's gone. And the council has to figure out how they're going to disperse that product to you. And that's not really fun. And some people, feel it's not fair. So what we decided to do was to put it online at a $25 price point. That anybody can sell it across the country until it is gone, whatever amount that we have. We're producing it as much as we can, but there just isn't going to be enough. So that product is not in the traditional sale that you'll get delivered to you, or that you'll pick up from the council. And we're sorry for that. It's just the way it is. I wish we had it, but instead of that, or in place of that, we're introducing this unbelievable butter ready to eat product, which we polled a lot of the unit leaders on Facebook and asked them, if we didn't have the microwave in the traditional sale, how would you feel about this unbelievable butter ready to eat product? And by and large, people said, well, that will help, but it would be better at a $15 price point than a $20 price point like the microwave was. So you'll see that item right there towards the right side of the screen. That's a new product this year, and hopefully that helps you at the storefront sales if you do that. The Blazing Hot is a new product this year. White cheddar, we had that last year. That's the single most popular ready-to-eat flavor of popcorn purchased in America, not just in our sale, but by consumers in general. Then the salted caramel popcorn, 25, and the cheese lovers at 35. The popping corn on the two low-end items is in a jar this year. So a lot of complaints through the years about the bags opening up and loose kernels in the case boxes, and just not a very dependable packaging. So we put it in a jar like you see most popping corn in stores, but there's an added cost to that. And so it's $15 for the same volume of popcorn as last year. And the small caramel, the classic caramel corn at $10. You see a little red box in the lower right corner says even more items. You go back real quick, Charlie. If you look at that little box in the lower right, it says even more products available with Online Direct. You'll have the microwave there. You'll see the coffee K-cups that we've had, just chocolate caramels, or salted caramels, I should say, there too. Just more items available than what we're shipping directly out to the consumer, or to unit leaders. Lastly, on the chocolate products, those aren't available for traditional sales either, because the council's moved up their sale date a little bit, and we would not ship that product out to councils until at least, Labor Day weekend is generally our policy. And that product also is a little bit challenging because we don't coat the popcorn and chocolate ourselves. We produce the caramel corn, and then we send it to a chocolate company that then coats it and sends it back to us. We package it, and we ship it out to distribution centers and then truck it to council delivery locations. So there's a much longer lead time with that. And it's just difficult to produce a bunch of that up front when we have no idea really how the sales is going to go this fall. We just don't know how many people are going to feel comfortable letting their scouts go door to door or stand in front of storefronts. We don't know about recruitment this fall. So there's just a lot of unknowns, and we're hesitant as a company to produce a whole bunch of popcorn up front like we would in a typical year, without those being accounted for sales. Okay, Charlie, next slide I think does show some of those additional items that are available Online Direct. Yeah, I mentioned those, a couple of those, the dark chocolate salted caramels, and we'll have more items than you see on here too as we go, but these are ones we know we've produced and we'll have available. Next slide I think has some bundles. Yeah, so for people who really want to support a scout with a higher purchase, there's some items that we bundled together. And they'll talk about Online Direct a little bit later, but as you see that little, sentence at the bottom, it says customers pay shipping on Online Direct sales of $7.99 plus 99 cents per additional item. So as you increase your, order, if you get 2 or 3 orders, if there are items in your order, maybe you have somebody else you want to give the product to as a consumer, or give them as a gift, you'll save on the shipping costs as you spread that out across more products. Next slide. Okay, for those of you that used the app last year, you're not new to it, here are some improvements that we made on the left side to the app and on the right side to the leader portal. So we wanted to make the app faster, fewer clicks to check out, and have the view more of a grid function, and have the products be a little bit more visible when you get to the product screen of the app. Larger font size on the prices. You see there's some other things on there too that we've done. We've just redesigned the whole look and feel of it. We also added for the direct Online Direct portion an ability for a scout to share the transaction with the consumer, so by text message, so that the consumer can fill in the credit card information, or the number, and the shipping information, and then that would complete the sale. So an added privacy and safety step there without the consumer having to speak the credit card number over the phone to a scout if they were going to do an online direct. And on the right side, the leader portal improvements, just a lot of feedback from people that were in there saying it'd be great if they could do this, if we could convert orders between wagon to storefront, change the shift, consolidate things a little bit better. So you'll see more in there. And I know there's a lot in the leader portal. Maybe you're somebody who says, look, I just want to keep track of my scout sales and order my popcorn and order our rewards order. You can do that. You don't have to use all this technology or all the functionality that's in the leader portal, but it is there if you are somebody that likes to export into, Excel spreadsheets and sort data and really keep track of everything. Okay, so the reasons to start selling early, I should probably back up and say we went into the spring again, just having the storefront and the wagon sales as the two options with the scout would be able to sell popcorn through the app. We added this online direct through the app that Dave will talk about later because we felt we had to have some option that was safer and like a socially distant way of selling. And again, Dave will explain how it works, but basically they use the app to make a sale and Trailsland will ship the product directly to the consumer's door. So it's a contactless delivery for those people that may prefer that. There is a shipping charge to it because there's no getting around the cost to ship. Whereas normally a scout will ship it for free or deliver it for free. But when we ask unit leaders, look, when it comes to the online selling, what are your complaints or your criticisms of it? How can we make it better? And the number one thing by far people said was, we want to sell the traditional products at the traditional price points online. All your products are too high priced online. It just doesn't work for us. So online direct can be, you can make a $10 small caramel corn sale in online direct through the app. It'll be shipped directly to the consumer's house. It's just that there will be a $7.99 shipping charge for that. So the lower end prices, when you add the shipping in, it kind of eats away at that value for the leader, or for the consumer, I should say. But still, we're not dealing with 30, 35, 40, and higher dollar price points for online. Every product that you'll have in hand, you can sell online direct at those price points, in addition to the other ones that we talked about. So why sell early? There are a lot of people who are concerned that if there was another flare-up of COVID-19, that it will happen in the fall when temperatures get cooler. That's what they've been saying, right? So some of them say, I'd like to get out while it's warm, make our sales. I can do it individually with the app by myself. I don't have to have product in hand to do it. I can do the online direct and deliver it and be done with that sale. Or I can take orders through the wagon function of the app and then deliver that product when it comes into the council and we pick it up as a unit later in the fall, late August or early September. So it's up to you, but we're going to try to promote the online direct as the safest way to sell for a scout. And we're going to give 5% in a bonus commission to units for all of their sales made by online direct between July 1 and August 15th. All you have to do is just make sure your unit is registered to sell by August 15th to qualify for that. And we're not going to give you cash or credit off your bill. We're going to give an Amazon gift card of 5% of what your sales end up being on August 15th. That last bullet is an idea that some people told us as another way to encourage some scouts that are real entrepreneurial to set a high goal with online direct, and if they hit it, we'll get an extra incentive or a prize. So the first 200 scouts that do sell 2,500 online direct between July 1 and August 15th will get an additional $200 Amazon gift card. That's beyond the rewards gift card that he'll earn or she will earn for their wholesale.
And Chuck, we have a question. Was there a change in the Trails End app to allow for orders to be entered and indicated as not paid, like you can do with delivered and not delivered?
Not to my knowledge. I know that they've changed the way that the delivered and undelivered works. If you check undelivered, then it will not allow you to go any further until you can enter some information about that consumer, their name, address, so forth, before you can go further. But I'm not aware of any change in the payment part of that process.
And then another question we had is, what is the volume difference between the Unbelievable butter in a bag and Unbelievable in the microwave?
Well, I believe it's 3 ounces in the microwave pouch, unpopped. That includes the flavoring and the oil. I don't know when it's popped what that exact volume is, but I do know that the Unbelievable Butter Ready to Eat is 8 ounces. So it's in the same size bag as the white cheddar and the Blazing Hot will be, a bigger size bag than what we had 2 years ago with that white cheddar at $15. If you've been around for a few years, remember when we introduced that product, it was a smaller size bag, but at $15, we made the bag, I think it was 5.25 ounces, and we went to 9 ounces on that product in 2019. And then that's the size bag, but just a little bit less weight for the Unbelievable Butter Ready to Eat item, but at $15 though too.
Perfect. Just scanning. Can you explain the shipping structure? I know you only have a couple minutes, but just the shipping structure. We have a couple questions on pay more for the more that they buy. So can you just explain that a little more?
Okay, so in an online direct sale or just an online sale, which means the scout can send an email or a text message with a link to his or her online selling page that tells a little bit about what the scout's doing to raise money. That either one of those ways of selling online carries a $7.99 shipping and handling charge for the first item. If that order contains a second or a third or a fourth item, each additional item is just 99 cents extra to ship the whole order. And again, when we ask people, what do you think about the shipping? They said, we'd rather have those traditional products at those traditional price points and the consumers can pay the shipping. Most people didn't see much of a benefit of the free shipping last year. Maybe your unit did, but a lot of units sold less online than they did the year before when the consumer paid the shipping.
Perfect. And then last question, is it possible to have multiple scouts on one app at a time to make it easier for a parent doing joint wagon sales or storefronts?
You can do that. You can toggle between scout accounts within the app. You would just go up to the top and the menu option and just toggle through there. You don't have to completely sign out of one scout and then log into the account of another scout to do that. At a show and sell site though too, remember if you have 3 scouts that have signed up for a shift or claimed a shift, I should say, you only need one of those scouts account to be running all the sales that happen for those 3 scouts. The system will know all 3 of them were supposed to be at that shift, and it will divide those sales equally among those 3 if that's the method of split that you set in the leader portal.
Chuck, does the shipping charge count towards a scout's online sales numbers?
No, it does not. So if a scout makes an online direct sale of a $20 white cheddar, then the scout gets commission on just the 20, not the $27.99 amount. But as you'll talk about later, Dave, if they make a online direct sale for $20, they're going to get 40 points versus 20 points. And I know you'll explain that to them.
I will. Do you know if this down here below where it says the app is glitching, seems to be glitching, is there another planned update coming out? Have you heard any feedback? I know today was the first day it went live.
Yeah, they had the update done and tested about a week ago, and it was accepted by the Apple Store and Google Play Store a few days ago, and they made it available, I guess, to everybody to update beginning yesterday. And there was, I think, a 4-hour period where there was some errors with it. But we had a call this morning where they said that was resolved, and I'm not aware of anything else since then.
Okay.
I don't know. They will have some updates periodically to try to continue to add some functionality that we couldn't get all in by the July 1 release.
Great. And
I would encourage anybody if you have any trouble with it, I would send an email real quickly to support@trails-end.com, and those people will get back to you. If you want somebody to call you too, put in your email, please call me at this number. I know some people say, well, I'd like to have a 1-800 number to talk to somebody, but when we had that before, the conversations just get longer and longer, and by the time the rep is done with that call, he's got 10 voicemails to get back to. So the online, the email function of it works pretty well, but if you want somebody to call you back, just state that in your email to them.
Great. Chuck, we definitely appreciate you being here tonight. you're welcome to stay on. I know you have to run to another meeting here soon. But if there are additional questions for Trails End, I am happy to follow up with Chuck, and we can put something out in the next email update for everyone to get answers.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, thanks, Dave and Eric and Charlie, and appreciate all of you guys out there as unit leaders, what you're doing. I know it's going to be a different year. We're trying to do the best we can, and appreciate you doing the same. Thanks for what you do.
Great. Thank you, Chuck. All right. So Eric, if you want to jump back in where we were talking about the leader portal and the app.
Yes, thank you. I know Chuck covered a lot of that regarding the portal and the app. I'll just touch on a couple of things, especially if you're new to the sale. It looks like some of the questions, we do have a couple of new people, which we appreciate, and we will get to your questions as well. But this portal is going to help you if you're the unit popcorn kernel to do all those things that are listed on the screen. You can track your inventory. You can see which scouts are selling, which scouts are not selling. I know some units maybe gave a prepackaged product mix to their scouts to go out and sell, and they can see which scout is selling, which scout is not selling, and so that's going to help you to manage your inventory on the unit level as well. As we talked about the storefronts, again, that's going to need to be a decision that you make. I know we not only have the Denver area, but also the Western Slope as well. And so as we're talking to some of the leaders in the Western Slope, things seem to be opened up a little bit more out there than maybe they might be here in the Denver area. And so it'll just kind of depend on what your comfort level and what the availability might be to do that. You can also then place your order online and then submit any rewards order as well. So it's a very a great tool that Trails End has come out. When I started with popcorn back in maybe I won't want to say in the late 80s, it was all paper. There was no technology involved, things like that. So we've truly come a long way. Charlie, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll just talk briefly about the app. Chuck covered a lot of this, and certainly if there's questions regarding the Trails End app, we can answer those as well. But as I talked to my friend Ross, and he used this for his two sons that were selling last year, he said this was the best thing since sliced bread. Those were his words, not mine, but it certainly made it very easy as a parent to see what was going on. As you can see there, the benefits of using that. I know with credit card sales, there's always a credit card fee, but that's not paid by the unit or the council. Trails End takes care of that. And certainly as people are paying online, and even now, with this pandemic, it's going to be probably even a greater percentage of our sales are going to be online and with a credit card. And so you can just see that the proven results there. There's also a way that you can sign up if you do storefront sales. There's an opportunity to click, and we'll talk about that as well if we're able to do that, depending on what area that you live in. So those are kind of the features that I wanted to talk about. I'll turn it over to Dave to kind of finish up at least our prepared portion of this webinar. And then we'll answer the questions that we haven't answered already, and then any others that you want to put on the chat.
Great. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate everything that you're doing as well. And so there was one question I wanted to answer, because we're about to talk about some of these things here, is what's the difference between wagon and storefront? And it's got to use a lot of lingo that is not common across all places. So a wagon sale it could also be called door to door. It's envision the youth dragging a wagon full of popcorn behind them, going to all the neighbors and trying to sell it. The second part of that is the storefront, and that's where you see our kids in front of a King Soopers or a Walmart sitting there trying to sell that. So I hope that helps a little bit. And explain those two different things. But I'm going to start off talking about online direct. It is going to be the biggest area where we have potential right now today. And there's some interesting thing that Trails End is doing to promote this online direct. There are definitely pros and cons to it. Obviously, the shipping is the biggest con, and we're going to get a lot of feedback on that. There's no doubt about it. But the price point for the first time that I've been involved in, probably the first time in history, is matches what the traditional sale products are. But it's Trails End says, it's the safest way that we can sell. Should no storefronts be allowed, then scouts are still able to sell through their online portal, as well as through the app face-to-face, or at least 6 feet apart, as per recommendations, right? As we showed the products earlier, there are additional products out there than we are going to get in person. So that'll help us with our chocolate, our microwave products. It also helps protect our units from having too much product on hand. There's no requirements. If it is in stock and Trails End can make it, it'll be on the app to order or the online portal to order. So that'll be very important. It also, one of the neat things, I don't know if Chuck talked about this, but if you still go door to door without product and you want to use this online direct, that's possible. And you can do it without ever handling someone's credit card or them telling you. There's a feature in the app that you can send the confirmation to that person via text message, I believe, and they can confirm the shipping address or put the shipping address in and their payment in, and then send it back to you to complete the order. I have no idea how that works, and I'm looking forward to trying it. So the first person that can meet me in the office sometime with a scout that gives me the best sales pitch, we're going to try it sometime. So I'm looking forward to that. I have to set an appointment though. And it will be fresh product. They are popping into order. So I saw one of the questions earlier, and I think I minimized my screen on that here. They were asking about if shipping, is it true if online direct orders we placed in July won't ship until October? I don't believe that's true. I think that is true for chocolate products, so they're not shipping products in the heat of the summer and they melt. But for all other products, the date I've been told is early August. And so orders will start to ship about a month after they've been placed. And it'll be probably a 3 to 4 week lag time to get orders on a rolling schedule there, except for chocolate products, of course, which will be October. Great. We can go over to the next slide here. And the 2 ways to work, I kind of talked about this. The traditional online sale has been you share your personal page via email, text, social media. Your customer clicks the link and the product shipped to the customer. The new way that is added this year is that online direct through the app. So you can be there and actually put the order in for them, take the payment, and the product will still ship directly to the customer. And so you can do it both ways. Credit card sales are big this year, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the rewards program. But for every credit card sale that happens, it's 1.5 points towards the rewards program. Every order that is an online direct order, different than credit cards, if you have the product in hand and they pay via credit card, it's 1.5 points. If they do an online direct, it's 2 points. If they give you cash, it's 1 point. Just trying to help make sure that product gets sold. Scouts are rewarded for those sales, and there's a higher percentage of prizes being given out if credit cards are collected. And honestly, I think Trails End is trying to make sure that bills are paid and that money goes directly to them first, so it's going to be the easiest. But it's also to keep people safe. They are not handling cash back and forth. The less contact we have with people, the better these days, it sounds like. So we are definitely going to get on board with that and continue our social distancing as much as we can to keep people safe. So onto the Trails End rewards here. It's different, a different look than what we saw last year. But it is definitely, Charlie, can you go ahead and go to the next slide? There you go. It's all based on a point system. So if you were doing online direct, the scout will actually get twice as many rewards as they did last year in this reward program. For every credit card, obviously it's 1.5, and for every cash, it's 1 point. As a council, we had a pretty large credit card collection rate last year in online sale. So that means our reward program is going to get that much better for the individual scouts. With a bigger push as online direct, it really rewards the scouts. So if you had $200 in online direct sales, you are at that minimum $400 level points, which is a $10 gift card. Last year, that took $350 in total sales, no matter how you did it. And obviously, as you can see, with this rewards program, a lot of the gaps from last year got filled in. So there was a gap, I think, from 1,500 to 2,500 last year. That got filled in with 2 additional ones, and I think there's a new 3,000, a new 4,000 in there that wasn't in there last year, and it definitely rewards our top level scouts. I don't believe any of the lower levels went down. The points are different, but you can get there a lot faster with online direct. Again, this is easy. If anyone's done this before, it's an incredibly easy system, especially if you're using the app in the leader portal. All of these calculations are done for you. That's the only way you can really get the prizes if the scout is in the app, since it is an e-gift card that is emailed to their account. It's a one-stop shop. The scout gets what they want whenever they do order their thing, and it's so much easier for our colonels to manage. You don't have to get rewards. I think the year before, when we still had the individual prizes, I think the last prize I gave out was in May following the sale, when we finally connected and got everything situated. So that's 6 to 7 months after the sale ends. That's hard to visualize for a scout, in my opinion. But this is instant. As soon as the colonel approves it, Trails then reviews the orders and sends it out directly to the families. So some exciting things there. And then the last slide here before we get into the Q&A, I know we're running down to about 15 minutes left of our planned time, is just the contact. So anything that is app related, that is order related mostly, Trails End related, it is easiest to reach out directly to them. The support at trailsend.com is really your main go-to for anything app related, anything that Trails End, you have questions for Trails End. When it comes to council information, pickup dates, any commission questions, your first line is Charlie. Charlie's going to be the quickest to respond. His time is dedicated to popcorn this fall. We're really lucky to have him. He's a phenomenal employee and a phenomenal coworker for us. But then Eric and myself are also available. Should Charlie be on vacation or you just need our opinion on something, we want to be here to help you and support and provide that level of service. And so, again, I'll remind everyone, if you have questions, that's all the planned content we have for right now. It's a lot of information. We are going to share these slides. I have an appendix. We have an appendix here that has how to sign up for the sale, how to get information on these webinars. If you've heard people talk about the Trails End webinars, that will all be shared out hopefully tomorrow, so you can get that information. But I'm going to turn it over to other questions. So put your questions in here. We'll start going through these questions and knock them off over the next 13 minutes or so. And if we need to go a little longer, I'm happy to stay on if there's more questions coming up.
Hey, Dave, we're getting a lot of questions about storefronts. Who does them? Who does the appointments? Does the council do that? Who should they go to for that? So if we can get a little bit more information on just storefront information.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Denver Area Council, the council does not set up any storefronts in front of the King Soopers or Walmart. That is all up to the individual packs. It's been that way for I assume a long time. I've only been involved for this is my third year, I believe. With the size of our council and the density of it, it would be almost impossible without about 2 full-time staff members to call thousands of storefronts to try to set that up. And it's best to spread it out across the 400 volunteers, I guess, that we have. Not the best answer, but it's the true answer.
And then also, are we doing them this year? How are we approaching them safety-wise?
Great.
And go for it.
Yeah, so there is currently no regulation on storefront sales. It is going to be, I'm going to speak as a personal person and not on behalf of the Denver Area Council, which is hard to do, but we want everyone to stay safe. If parents aren't comfortable doing storefronts, don't set up storefronts. If store managers are going to say no, it's impossible to set up storefronts, and that's a lot of what we're seeing right now is that we don't know what the fall is going to look like. But as of right now, most King Soopers are not letting people schedule that out because they don't think they're going to happen. We're going to have to monitor the situation and try to make them happen, or talk to some smaller stores or personal relationships. If you are comfortable and your parents are comfortable being out in front of them, then by all means, please do it. Just be safe. Safety is our number one thing. We want to make sure that we protect our youth and we protect our adult volunteers as well.
Perfect. We got a lot of people asking, can individual packages be ordered in the second order, or does that have to be full cases?
That is a great question that we have not thought about yet. So we will get that in the follow-up that comes out of this here. We need to brainstorm about that to see exactly what we can do. Returns are after that date, so it gets a little tricky. Returns will still be in full cases. So I would lean towards that could be some individual packages there at that order, but let Eric and I and Charlie get back and talk it through with Chuck and see what the logistics and how that works.
Will scouts that sold over 1,000 last year still be receiving the 1K club incentive?
There will be some incentive, yes. Obviously, we can't bring 400 people together at Broncos Stadium right now, and so it probably will not be that. But it is still on our radar. We're trying to find the best idea. If you have thoughts, please email myself, Eric, Charlie, so that we can make sure the scouts that succeeded last year still get their rewards, even though everything was shut down.
What are we projecting the sale to be this year, percentage-wise?
I don't have an answer for that. We have some budget numbers that we've put together with about a 40% drop, but I don't know if that's truly real. It all depends on what happens with the uptick in coronavirus right now. If storefronts don't happen, I don't think we can even hit a 40% drop. It'll probably be closer to 50, 60, 70%. But no one knows. There are councils all over the board in their projections.
Do we have to participate in the Trails End rewards, or can we just get a bigger commission? For you, Dave.
There is no opt-out of the council rewards.
And then for Stacy Garcia, if you're looking for materials for all this, go to the denverboyscouts.org under unit fundraising, and the popcorn page is updated and has all the materials for that.
And there will be printed order forms that are arriving here pretty shortly that will be available for pickup at the council office, and we will also be willing to mail those out directly to our colonel. So you can work with Charlie to get those out, but we will send the information out in an upcoming popcorn newsletter on how to pick those up or how to get them shipped.
Do you have any people or storefronts that, if they do happen, that you would suggest that have been very helpful in the last couple of years?
The feedback we got over the last the couple years is it really depends on the personal relationship between the unit of the colonel and that store manager. We've found out in a lot of smaller towns that they've been able to set up some storefronts, but the big box stores have been having trouble because of corporate policies. So it's all about your personal relationships and who you know, and who your network with, or who you're willing to know, who you're willing to get out there in front of and go meet and share the why. This year is going to be a tough year though for those.
How would you track a sale not through the portal? 2% commission of the 95%. Or, I mean.
By James Day, the question by James Day here. How would you track a sale not through the portal?
Yes.
2% commission for 95%. So whenever you submit your order through the system, we have a dollar amount. And so if nothing gets entered, you don't track anything in there, we know exactly, we're not tracking, there's no way for us to track it and how it's going. That's kind of why we're asking you to do it, so we can anticipate reorders, if we can move popcorn around and things like that. If you don't use the portal, you don't use the app at all, it's entirely on you to track it and know if you can return, how much you can return at the end, and the bill will still be the same because it's all cash sales at that point.
So we have one just to clarify by Brian McKevley. Just if units order an X amount of popcorn by August 10th and retailers still don't allow storefront sales, each unit will be responsible for selling all of the ordered popcorn because it won't be able to be sent back. Correct?
Correct. We have a little bit of wiggle room. If 5 days out, we might be able to exchange some stuff, but probably not. Basically, Trails End is giving us a 2-week lead time on all orders this year because they don't have as much product in-house. It's taking them longer to produce it and get it out to Denver and beyond, obviously. But once it's ordered, it's ordered. We're asking people to be very conservative in their first order. And if you're not, we're probably going to have to make some manual adjustments, and we'll talk through that with you. But we also added that second order in there so that if you sell everything out pretty quickly in 4 weeks, you can pick everything up again. So you can do all of your door-to-door, take orders, and fulfill them on that second order, rather than waiting a 2 or 3 month period to November. We wanted to add that one in there.
We have a couple of portal questions, just how to access it, how to see some things. The best resource, I guess, would either be me or Trails End at support.com if you're having those issues. So with those, you can either get with me or Trails End. Is the pack responsible for any issues with direct consumer shipping, like damage during shipping or wrong item shipping?
No. All those questions will go directly to Trails End. If you hear about it, all you have to do is hit support at Trails End. Last year, they were pretty good about reshipping something should arrive damage. And either you can do that on behalf of the customer, or you can encourage the customer to do that direct.
And then for free shipping this weekend, it's July 1st through the 5th, correct?
I believe it's the 3rd through the 5th.
Okay, perfect.
Unless they've changed it. That's on Trail's End. We're hoping that they will do a few more of these free shipping, but this is the first one. Take advantage of it if you can. Get some product. Thanks, Elisa. It's July 3rd through the 5th, so take advantage of that. Get some product and talk to your consumers and share your Facebook pages, share your emails out there this first weekend to get a big jump on it. Be the first one out in front of everybody.
Terry asked, will the app allow the scout or the customer to track the item that is shipping so you can see if it's delivered or things like that?
I have not heard of that feature, but that is a follow-up question for Chuck that we will make sure we get asked and answered.
Are we receiving laminated product forms like last year?
We can. We haven't actually talked about that yet. If that's something people want, type a yes into the chat. And if you don't want that or won't use it, type a no.
And the shipping price was, the point was determined by Trail's End, correct?
Yeah, absolutely it was, yes.
The shipping cost of $7.99 the first item and then 99 cents each additional, was that for online direct or just online? And we had another question like that. Is there a difference between online and direct to consumer? If so, what is?
There is no functional difference besides of where you make this sale. So online is just the way you buy it, through email, or you promote it. It still leads to your Scout page, and then it will be shipped direct to the consumer. It's rewarded at the same. The bonus points for Scout rewards are the same as if you were in front of somebody and using the app and took someone's order to send it direct to them.
And it's about 7 o'clock.
And I'm happy to answer a few more. If you need to drop off, please do. I'm willing to stay here and keep answering some questions. We can go through them all. We definitely appreciate everyone being here. We appreciate everything that you do for scouting. Scouting could not happen without our volunteers. We know that. And it's pretty incredible that on less than a week's notice, we had 70 or so people join us to talk about how we can raise money to support scouting adventures. And so on behalf of the entire Denver Area Council, thank you so much for being here. Eric, did you have any last things to say? And then I can jump back into some of these questions.
I don't, Dave. Again, we appreciate that. I know there's some additional questions. We're happy to stay on as long as you will till we can answer these questions. We also think there's been some questions about the noticing. We did send out emails regarding this, but this is being recorded, and we'll send this out as well. Certainly, if you need any information, please let Charlie, myself, or Dave know so that we can get that to you. But thank you very much.
Great. So, if you're okay, Charlie, I'm going to go right through the top and just work my way down in the sake of time.
Perfect.
Great. Laminated product forms sounds like a lot of people want them, so we will make them, and we'll have them available. So we'll figure out a way to get them to you, whether you pick them up at the office or whenever you pick up product in August. We'll have that stuff available for those that want it. Great. How did Charles N determine the shipping price point? Valerie, I have no idea. I apologize for that, but Charles N, I'm sure, figured out what the weight of it was, the size of it was, and what the cost of boxing a person in the warehouse to stuff it in a box was. Brian asked if the anticipation is the sale will be lower than last year. Has the bonus structure been adjusted accordingly? Outside of trying to protect some people, no, it hasn't, to be frank. It's still at $20,000 in sales, and or a 20% increase over previous years, or being new as our 2020 club. Eric and I and Charlie can talk about that a little bit and see if that's the right number. We are open. We want to make sure we're supporting you and getting you the rewards that you deserve for the work that you're putting in. But we just went with last year's numbers. It's been that way for a while, but this is a unique year, and Eric and I can talk offline and figure out what's best and how it works. That's we hadn't, to be honest, we hadn't thought about that. Besides posting the recording to YouTube, can the materials in this presentation be emailed? Absolutely, we will do that. Sorry, things are moving around on me. Did I see correct that as a pack, we can only return 5% of what we ordered? That is correct, and we are trying to limit returns at 5%, just to limit a little bit of the risk and to help us plan accordingly from the beginning of the sale. And so we will limit how much a pack can order, but we want you to be successful in selling that as well. And so we will provide you every resource we can to help you sell that, and incentives to make sure you keep selling. We, as a council, Austin, do not recommend any other alternative fundraisers besides the popcorn sale. That is our council's sponsored one that we do. We'll be getting anything from printed to hand out to scouts. We've answered that already. There will be a PDF of the forms on our website soon. So if you need to print them yourself, you can. We'll council have extra popcorn. There may be a little bit left over from the first shipment, but the goal with adding that second midterm pickup order was to eliminate having 10 or so people lined up at the back door of the office. We have to be very protective of our staff and keeping everyone safe as well. And we want to keep all of our volunteers safe. So we're going to try to have less people handle popcorn as much as possible, but we will add popcorn in that midterm thing so that you can plan ahead. For door-to-door, what do you recommend scouts say when customers ask what products are available? The products that are available are the 6 or 7 that we showed earlier. That will be on those laminated forms or the order forms that you can show. And so I know it's going to be a little bit of a difference, but what I'd recommend is having your scout get excited about 1 or 2 of them, find his or her favorite one, and once they talk about what it supports, we have to remember that we don't sell popcorn. Nobody wants to buy a $20 bag of popcorn. But people will give a $20 donation to support a specific scouting adventure coming from an enthusiastic youth. And so that is something that we need to make sure that we talk about is, will you help me go to camp? Will you help me do this high adventure? I want to hike 38 miles in the mountains. Can you help me do that? Things like that. Or do you want to help me get this life-saving merit badge? Those are the things that we're really promoting. And then as a reward for your $60 donation, you get a bag of chocolate pretzels in 3 months. And so that's something that we want to make sure we emphasize. Sure, we're going to try to get these slides and recordings out tomorrow to everyone here. This is new technology for us too, as we're adapting to a virtual world. but our goal is to get it out. It is recording. I can see the recording button. So that's the first step. What is the selling deadline for online sales participating in the prize program? It is December 31st. So if you don't want to order prizes until December 31st or January 1st, then you can sell all the way through December 31st, so that we have 6 months this year with July 1st start, which is today, so we can celebrate that, and we can go all the way through December 31st. I think we answered that, and we are down. Do you still have to be closed, sealed, full cases to return popcorn? So Corey, it is full cases for return popcorn, but we have allowed individual packs to break that case apart and then fill it back up. So we understand that a lot of people will give out a starter pack to the individual scouts. We don't want you to stop doing that. We want you to be safe about it. But if 12 butters come back and you put it back in a butter box, then we can accept that back, even though it was opened. The goal is to this year hopefully return nothing, so we can keep it out of as many hands as possible. I think that's all the questions that we had. If there's any more, feel free to put them in the Q&A. The other two I'm seeing, correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie, we just answered.
Yes, one won't let me get rid of it for some reason.
Where is the list of how many packages come in a box? That is a good question. I believe it is on when you go in your Trails End portal as the leader and you go to the order, submit an order, you'll be able to see exactly how many is in there. And if not, go ahead and email Charlie or myself, and we'll make sure that you have all those out there. There's some new products this year, so I need to go ahead and find out what exactly the hot cheddar, the hot Cheeto flavor is, and we will we'll make sure that we know exactly that it is too. Can a pack not order any product in August, get orders door to door, then order all products sold in September so we don't have any returns? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's another reason why we did that. And that's one of the reasons I'm leaning towards, and we'll talk about this and finalize it, is having those individual packages on that second date, so that if you want to get a head start and do the door to door early, then we're going to encourage you. If it's a large amount, we will ask for proof of those orders, just so that we're not putting the risk out there for you and the council. Everything we order, we do have to pay for from Trails End. I'm not sure why, they just want their money, I guess. Did I miss anything in the chat? That was the same question, so that's perfect. It sounds like that's all the questions we have for tonight. We definitely appreciate you all being here. It's been a great time to talk about popcorn. I do miss the personal interactions, whether at CAP or at the soccer stadium. So hopefully we can all get together soon. We can celebrate at the end of this sale that we just rocked it and had a great time doing it, and truly taught a lot of scouts some good lessons in sales. So as you have questions, reach out. It's an honor to serve you guys as a staff advisor. So please let us know what we can do.